Communications Authority Director, former IBC CEO Ezra Chiloba, has been suspended indefinitely from the office. And this is a report that has just been released this night by the chairperson of the board, that is Mary Mungai, and is been replaced by Christopher Wambua. Communications Authority, and according to what has been communicated, there was a meeting that the board of chairperson of the board held on 18th September today, then resulted in the suspension of Director General. Then he says, I am pleased to inform all the staff of the appointment of Mr. Christopher Wambua as the Director General in acting capacity effective today until further notice. I trust that you will accord him the necessary support. Ezra Chiloba was appointed in that position in 2021 to replace Francis Wangusi, who retired from the position. Chiloba was supposed to work for a contract of 4 years, and so if he was to leave, he was to leave in 2024, if I'm not wrong, or 2025. But today, a meeting was called to send him packing. It is not a coincidence. You know, there is nothing new. We've always been seeing situations where appointments are done, they are revoked by the president or by the ministry. Now, this is just another strategy that was just used by the board of the Communications Authority to pass vote of no confidence, probably against him, so that he can be shown the door. There is no, I don't think there is a big difference between what Chiloba exit and other Uhuru appointees that have been leaving. And in my understanding, it could still be largely about just continuation of phasing out of Uhuru appointees. This board is led by Mary Mungai, who was a blue-eyed entrepreneur, especially, and supported William Samoei Ruto. Ezra Chiloba was in charge of the 2017 general election at the IBC and fell out with Chebukati. He fell out with Chebukati, and Chebukati is the person that sacked him from the IBC. Of course, these are fellows that I honestly believe today they're not even supposed to be near any office, and I don't really sympathize with him, the fact that he's been kicked out. These are fellows that when the history of bungled elections are written in this country, they were in charge of elections even in the past 2017. But 1 year after working under William Ruto, he's been shown the door. So that docket where he is a very sensitive docket. That was, and of course I remember during the last general election, despite of receiving a lot of criticism, that is working with Uhuru Kenyatta on some breaching, or I don't know, an election malpractice or something. It never so. It has never been so. So ladies and gentlemen, what are you seeing? Why do you think he's been suspended? And I saw someone asking in Twitter, is it about him being suspended, or it was just creating a vacancy for the new person that is taking over? Yeah. Was it just a suspension, or it was just to create a vacancy for another person? You might have to look at it differently. Now, Chiloba could be shown the door because he fails to answer a political question. A political question here is on what do you bring on board politically? If you give that position to someone else, can that person bring us a political benefit? He comes from Trans Nzoia, and of course, he brings the Trans Nzoia vote on board. What has been happening in Kenya, Kwanza, if I just become a little bit brief, is those who are appointed in different positions in government are expected to carry their tribe with them as part of the package. So someone like Chiloba did not have that. That's the truth. Chiloba did not have the tribe, his tribe with him. He was not bringing the tribe, the Trans Nzoia, on board. And politically, he can be made irrelevant, or he can be laid off because of failing to solve the Trans Nzoia political equation. But again, but Trans Nzoia also fall within the shareholders. The other probability around this layoff could be centered around the shareholders. As we speak now, I said the person who is the chairperson, Mary Mwingai, is believed to have really lifted William Ruto, even financially, or rather really lifted William Ruto's campaigns. And these are fellows that have a serious stake in his presidency. So they're just a situation where something is needed and it doesn't work. It's a high possibility that's also trying to create way for something, for someone. However, I'm paying a lot of attention this way. If William Ruto wanted to just do away with Chiloba, it will be very easy. I'm waiting to see whether it's going to be absorbed anywhere or so. But it will be very easy. Nothing will stop William Ruto from just calling Chiloba and telling Chiloba, no, you're leaving and you're giving this. One thing that has been happening is that there is a possibility of conflict of interest or a disagreement between the chairperson of the board and probably the director general of the board. So it could be a matter of conflict between the chairperson and the AG, because one is the employer of the other. Of course, the board is what is in charge of, can really fire the DG. So the DG could have been shown the door because of a conflict between the two, probably conflict of interest in terms of what's going on, what's going there. And if probably it is Chimbad, you might realize that there would be some interests that were crossing paths between the parties involved. I'm making another observation on the media. The state, or of course, there are key state players that are having a lot of interest in the media spaces, and that's why we're seeing a lot of poaching and emergence of some media stations I will not want to profile. And those emergence, of course, they thrive around the frequencies. So the corridors could be a fight on the media space, on maybe someone wants this frequency and the DG was not playing that ball. So it could have been kicked out simply on such grounds. However, I want to veer off from why he's been kicked out or all that. But I want to say this and make a very passionate appeal. And I think legislators or even the guys that are talking around bipartisan talks, the same way there is a transition to in civil servants amongst principal secretaries, or of course some other state servants that have been appointed, where drivers are not sacked. Now, the people that are in charge of state corporations, state authorities, parastatals and so, are supposed to make those offices or those parastatals also very effective. I know there are some that are just there for minting money, while they probably do not have, they don't have very good returns. I actually acknowledge that is also an issue. However, we should not actually normalize a situation where the president will just wake up any day And because you don't sit well with the current administration, you cannot have your job. We should create the legal framework on how such appointments and layoff is done. Because the law is a bit weak on security of tenure for head of parastatals, CSOs, authorities and all that. We are still weak. The law is still weak on it. And of course, that loophole is being left there intentionally to empower the president so that the president can get some few tokens here to do politics. These positions, it's not about Chiloba. These positions should not be left out, that someone can just hire you and fire you whenever he wants because he's the president. If we are doing that, and we are crying that there are some state parastatals that are not producing profit, they're not giving us profits because there is insecurity of tenure for even those who are in office. You don't know if the president can just wake up in the morning and fire you. We are giving them performance contracts. But these are fellows who can just wake up in the morning and say, I'm doing away with you. We've seen the way those who are appointed by former President Uhuru Kenyatta have been shown the door, and the new faces have been injected. Probably it's not a problem to introduce new faces and under the guise of people who understand the bottom up, which I think is just hogwash. But we should create a framework that we allow for transition even at CSO, even at the state corporations, because otherwise, this is not going to be a good precedent. Imagine like all those who have been sent. Imagine 2027 you have another election and Ruto is sent home. So people who might have taken some loans or even some insurance schemes for 5 years, work for 3 years, and because there is a change of government, someone else. And now with those changes, especially when we make those positions be at the behest of the president, then those will not be productive. Why don't we take the Public Service Commission to employ head of those parastatals and CSO and authorities, so that they also gauge them on performance. But if we continue to put the president's hands on it, probably it's a wrong path.